aspects which show that the story of global Gadar is partially the story of the white man's burden and the business of war. In fact, if we take all three, the global Gadar, the white man's burden, and the business of war, all three are still continuing even today. During our research work at Sikhya Seekers, we came across the story of Gadar, the global Gadar. And we found that the global Gadar is also the story of the white man's burden. The white man's burden, as we can see depicted in the cartoon of both Britain and United States, carrying the burden on their backs. Uncle Sam carrying the blacks and Britain carrying the browns. What is the white man's burden? Essentially, it was a poem written by Indian-born Rudyard Kipling, a former assistant editor of the Civil and Military Gazette in Lahore, in Punjab. His mistress, his most true love, which resulted in his being awarded the 1907 Nobel Prize for Literature, English literature, in which he had written The White Man's Burden. Along with that, we have another cartoon, how the white man's burden came about. Initially, the white man's poem was originally written for Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee, but Kipling changed the text later on of the burden to reflect the subject of American colonization of the Philippines, recently won by the United States from Spain in the Spanish-American War. At face value, the poem appears to be a rhetorical command to white men to colonialize the other and rule over other nations for the benefit of those people. Both the people and the duty may be seen to be as representing the burden of the white man. Because of its theme and title, it has become emblematic of both Eurocentric racism and of Western aspirations to dominate the developing world. A century after its publication, the poem still rouses strong emotions and can be analyzed from a variety of perspectives. For Kipling, The White Man's Burden, written during World War I, in which he arranged for his son to be recruited in the war. He was refused for the Navy but taken in the Army and sent to the battlefront, where unfortunately he never returned from there. The White Man's Burden for the author Kipling became the white man's grief. Rudyard Kipling wrote The White Man's Burden during World War I. He says, "Take up the white man's burden. Send forth the best you breed." Kipling sent his own son to war in the World War I. "Go bind your sons to exile to serve your captives' needs." Kipling himself had been brought up in India by his father. To serve your captives' needs. He had to serve the Indian captives' needs. to wait in heavy harnessed on fluttered folk and wild. Your new caught sullen people, half devil and half child, the same people whom Queen Victoria during her Victoria Jubilee invited for her coronation parade. Take up the white man's burden, says Kipling, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made plain, after staying in India, learning about the brown man and the white man's burden, he says, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Kipling lost his son during World War I. The white man's burden became a white man's grief.